Good morning, y'all. This is Coach Lindsay from the Jackass Podcast. Um, just remember, we are on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Amazon, and today is episode 31. Again, this is Coach Lindsay from the Jackass Podcast. We are doing episode 31, and today we are going to talk about the starting conflict in Iran, the State of the Union address. We're going to talk about what tough means, what respect means. We're also going to talk about we're also going to talk about the Elimination Chamber because that happened last night. It's Sunday morning, and we are going to talk some NBA and NFL. So this is going to be a jam-packed podcast. So hopefully it doesn't go too much over an hour, but we'll see. All right. So first off, over the past couple of days, I've woken up and seen stuff about us attacking Iran. This seems to have been a long time coming. Because if you remember, there were problems originally, I want to say, in the Bush administration, continued through the Obama administration, and then has gone back and forth with Biden. Here's the odd thing. There's part of me that can't go, well, of course we're going to have some conflict with a Middle Eastern country because they got oil. And that makes sense. Also, we have just been in conflict with that area pretty much in ways since the 70s. From the Iran-Contra thing all the way up to now. So this isn't a new conflict. It's kind of been a behind-the-scenes conflict probably my whole life. Because I kind of remember hearing stories about it when I was a kid. It was not something that I think we got to talk in any of the history classes I'd ever been in either high school or college. But I don't know where we go from here on it. Like, I really don't. I don't know what we do. I don't know. I know from one content creator, because I haven't gone and looked into it, the way I'm guessing he heard it or read it, is that this is supposed to be air support from the U.S. to transfer to, I want to say, Israeli and someone else doing on-ground support. Maybe it was Saudi Arabia. But we it's one of those odd things where America is being America and I guess protecting the world, or at least that's how we're going to try and come off, because we are the strongest military. We are the one, I want to say one true superpower, but we are the biggest of the superpowers, at least for the democratics, for a side with an actual democracy and not just communism or whatever wrapped up like it's a democracy, but it's not. So with that being said, do I support it? I don't know. Because war and going and doing stuff can always be very, very messy. Now, I have seen photos, I want to say from like the 60s and 70s, where Iran was like a very Western society, in that it was very much like America and Britain and all that. And then they had a regime takeover and it became a very traditional Muslim society. So that's not what people want. Um, and if that's what the people want to go back to, then I understand it. Then I also understand why America got involved eventually, but it was 40 years down the road. Probably way too late because you'll have generations of people who don't know what it was before that. So, damn dog. Um, so this will be interesting because this is the first week of it. So again, I haven't heard much. I've just kind of caught it on TikTok clips and stuff like that. So I'm not well informed. I'm not gonna lie, but I want to hear every side of it and see what happens over the next few months before anything else. Before I say anything else, really. Um, Next, now one I'm gonna talk a little bit more about because I've seen the highlights. I haven't seen everything he talked about, but I do have a serious problem with how one side handled, actually, kind of how both sides handled the State of the Union, but really how one side handled it. And I'm gonna preface this: everywhere through my lineage, um, from before me, whether it's my mom's side, my biological father's side, my ex stepfather's side, um, there's a deep tradition and run of military people around me in my life. And generally, they're types of people that I get along well with because they're no nonsense. They don't give a flying fuck. And they're usually there to do whatever the job is, whether or not they like it or whatever. Like, just whatever. It's a type of person that I genuinely kind of migrate towards. I was never able to join the military. Um, I was born with congenital hypothyroidism. They found out when I was like 8 days old, and I've been on medication all my life. So I could not join the military. I got friends from high school that joined, got much respect to them, got much love for them. I have um, people I have come across in every walk of my life that are military folk. And I get it and I respect them for what they did and them serving in the military. My grandfather retired lieutenant colonel. My mom was actually an officer in the army. My biological father is actually a West Point graduate. My ex stepfather was a sergeant, did his 20, and then got out. Um, my ex stepfather's my ex stepfather's stepfather was in the Navy. I want to say the Navy and the Army during World War II. I have great aunts and uncles that were in World War II and Vietnam and Korea. My stepfather was in the original Desert Storm. So I have a long lineage of respecting people for what they've done for this country. And even though I gripe a lot about the government and particular individuals, I have respect for the fact that they decided to go do a service for the country and that they are supposed to represent our country. And the State of the Union, I think, shows more than what people think. In that, this is kind of a line that the country split on. And I think, and it's going to tail into my two words that I wanted to talk about today. But the State of the Union, and the thing that upset me, I want to say upset, that, upset pisses me off the most, is that one side, for things that they should stand for, you don't have to like the person in charge. I don't care where you're at. You should show respect, and we should hold politicians, because they'll use these rules when it benefits them of decorum, but when they don't want to, because they don't like President Trump, they don't use those same rules of decorum to show him the respect that he has rightfully earned by getting the position and the title. Do I think title means everything? No. But I think it tells you that they got there somehow. Like, if we walk into a place, and I'll give this as a great example. Me and my wife have had this conversation because she doesn't get it. I grew up in a family where title meant something. It was respectful to call them by their title if they introduced themselves by their title. So like doctorate, people who got a doctorate, whether it's an MD, it doesn't matter what type it is. So over the past, been working in education for 13 years, had 6 years of schooling. There's a lot of people who have doctorates that come across my path. And I think that's cool. I got to be around two administrators who were working on and getting their doctorate. Lady who kind of just left my class was working on her doctorate. And the school I work at has like 5 or 6 people that have doctorates. So I'm really respectful about that when I don't just go, oh, well, Mr. So-and-so. I'll say Dr. Welch, or say Dr. So-and-so. These are people I work with, and I'll give them that respect because they've earned it. They put in the work, and they got the title. So I respect the fact that they did that. So I correlate that to the State of the Union because the title of president is a title of one that you should respect. And being a congressman or a senator is a place where you should be able to show that respect, whether or not you like the person. It's not a forced bowing down to like it could have been if you were back in, the Middle Ages when they were, or in Old England or England now, where noblemen who are given titles by birthright are supposed to be held to this. And there's a hierarchy there. It's about being respectful to the position that you are dealing with. Whether you like the person or not, nobody says you gotta like everybody. But you should show everybody respect until they don't earn it. And out of everything I got, and I don't think the Democrats get this. I think the Democrats are the party that comes off more entitled than the Republicans. If you had asked me this 10, 15 years ago, I'd have said it probably the opposite. But over the past 10, 15 years, the Democrats, and especially their far left nut jobs, or far left loudspeakers that they have are losing respect because they don't show it to anybody. Because they think they are above everybody else. Because they think they're entitled to this position. Because they haven't earned it. Because they don't. Because they want to ride off on whatever their story is. And they built nothing on that story. They haven't done things that actually make it easier to respect them. And I don't care if they're male or female or what. Because Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, AOC, there's probably a few other Democrats. Those are the ones that come. Like, I respect Fetterman more than any of the other Democrats. Because they are being respectful. See, the Democrats right now are not fighting based on principles and idea. They're fighting because they don't like Donald Trump. And that is not something, that is the pettiest and sorriest ass reason for you, for that to be your ticket. That we're fighting against Trump. Trump is about to have his last term, and he's about halfway through it. And then we're going to have to find someone else. But the Democrats are going to have to find someone, too, to try and take that mantle. And I don't think it can be old guard anymore. I think you have to find some young Democrats that aren't total dipshits that get what politics is, which is about coming to the middle and get what the foundation of this country is in compromising to make the country better. Our politicians have learned to compromise to get whatever is better for them versus better for the country for a long time. And we've let it happen. That's the sad thing. We become apathetic to the disingenuous parts of our government, to the people showing that they're not really working for us, and they're hiding and working against us because they're hiding it within 1,000 pages of a law, when the Constitution, for the most part, was built on documents that may have been 1 or 2 pages long. And while somewhat vague, because law is always put in vague ways where language is interpreted later differently than it is when it's originally written. So we have to understand, we need to gripe about stuff so it does change. And this is going to go probably really good into my topic of special education here in a minute. But I don't respect a lot of politicians. I don't believe a lot of politicians. I'm very skeptical. Because anytime I've had a hope or something, a politician gonna change something, it doesn't benefit me. I'm not wealthy. I'm not gonna get the tax breaks. If this podcast ever actually takes off, right now it's a great venting platform for me. And if you don't like that, that's fine. Please comment, because I'm gonna go over a comment that I got earlier this week. Comment, like, share, and do what every podcaster you listen to asks you to do. And if you don't like me, I'm actually fine with that. But my biggest hang up is that the Democrats don't respect the offices that they're trying to hold. They don't respect, in a lot of ways, the really loud ones. They don't respect the foundation that is holding them up to be as belligerent and disrespectful as they are. We have a bunch of entitled brats in Congress that have come from places that think they're extra special. I'm going to say what it is. Because it's not a San Antonio thing. It's from the big, it's literally, probably especially in the House of Representatives, where I don't know how many seats the city of New York has, city of LA, or city of Chicago has. Because they're going to have multiple seats based on population density. And there's a reason that people move from those places and drove to where it's a little bit more conservative. Because being conservative means also you're taught to be respectful. You realize what the roots of society are in a lot of ways because you deal with a lot more rural people. Like, I guarantee you, if you go into rural Illinois or rural California or rural New York, they're not going to be as loud and upset as people from the big cities like New York City, Chicago, and LA. They're just not going to be. Because the world's different. Because even though those places are where we get a lot of viewpoint from, they are strictly for that area. They're not for the rest of the country in a lot of ways. They're also there's three of the highest crime rates and death rates per capita, probably in the country. Like, they don't have everybody's interest in heart. Look at what's happening in New York City right now, where their new mayor who got elected based on he wasn't going to raise taxes, now having raised taxes for his ideas. You can come up with all these ideas and then you don't have a way to back them. You kind of need to figure out how you are going to back them. You need to figure that out. That's just the way it is. So with that being said, my biggest problem was the disrespect. Now I said I'm going to talk about the word respect. I'm going to talk about the word tough. We're going to start off with respect. Maybe it's because I was raised in a military household and by old school people and I'm of that generation. I'm of the confused subgeneration of zillennials between Gen X and millennials. Because my life was different. My life's different than a true millennial and a true Gen Xer. And I get that it's based on technology. But I also was taught like a Gen Xer to be respectful of people. To understand that being respectful was what you were supposed to be to everybody. I was taught by my family that respect is something given. But then it has to be earned to what you fully want. And I think this generation, and even some from my generation, got this confused that there's several different types of respect. Because respect can look different everywhere you go. Respect looks different in that when depending on what your economic status, how the area you live in views respect is different than maybe how the other area views respect. I was taught that you automatically, in order to get respect, you also have to give it. And in a way, respect is just having an admiration for something or somebody, whether it's truly earned or not. And then having total respect is having that admiration and that feeling that you have to be loyal to somebody and that you have a caring for it eventually if they have earned it. But if I walk into a room and I say, kids, like students these days, want you to prove everything before they'll give you an ounce of respect. But they start by giving none first. And don't understand that the key to giving, the reason that you give respect first is because you don't know the person. You don't know if you're going to like them. You don't know if you're going to. And I can respect somebody and not like you. And I'm fine with that. Those are two separate things. This generation holds respect as liking you. My generation holds respect as I can tolerate you for this, but I don't have to like you inside or outside of here, and we don't have to be friends. They are mutually exclusive. They can compromise. I like you and I respect you. But respect is a different emotion. And because some kids are not taught at home, because the first structure, let's rewind this a little bit. The first structure and the first way a kid is taught respect is in how their parents handle respect at home. I keep preaching what the parents do. Parents, if you are a parent and you happen to be listening to this podcast, please, I implore you, while your child is growing up, don't be their friend. Be the adult in their life that gives them structure and make sure that they understand how to treat people. And they understand that sometimes just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that you don't do what you need to do. Because respect and earning respect is given in a whole lot of different ways, but probably the top 3 ways you get respect is 1, how you treat people when we're in a conversation, and how you look at people, and how people see your actions versus your words. I have a kid who always said, oh, I'm going to change. I'm going to stop doing this. Okay, then stop doing it. I have kids that come through my room and this is what they say because it's gotten them out. Oh, I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop. Well, when the hell are you going to stop? Because you keep telling me you're going to stop. And I can't respect your words because you're lying to me and you're not holding yourself accountable. Accountability and respect go hand in hand. So when we talk about the word respect, I think kids get it twisted. I think young adults have gotten it twisted. I think there's a generation that think that being showy and flashy and loud and showing off what they got, that's how you earn respect. That's how you earn street cred. You go do something stupid, or you go do something that's going to get your ass in trouble, or you go do something where you think you're invincible, and that's how you earn respect. Respect is earned over time and time again, holding yourself and others accountable. That's your position. respect is earned not by being the loudest one in the room all the time, but the one people will listen to. Every story you hear, and I don't care if it's an old vet in the locker room, if it's an old, like I heard stories where my grandfather would not respect people because they thought they were above people in the military. And this was going on for years. Man, you can go find history lessons on this probably through almost any military situation. But the people we respect most, we see doing the things that you shouldn't want to be doing, that you don't want to do. And then because you've earned it, or you came up with something. See, respect is earned even with the title that should give you some respect. It eventually has to be earned to be held and to continue. This is what the kids don't get. In order to get respect, you have to give it and then give it time to see if they've actually earned it. To give it time to see if they're being truthful in what they said. Are they, whatever your design of respect is in your head, you have to start in the most basic fundamental of giving it first and giving it time. Now, are there ways to lose that respect? Oh, yeah. I get that. Just like you lose trust, you lose a lot of things. Respect is earned. Respect is given first and then earned to be kept. And earned to be given more over time. But I shouldn't come off as disrespectful to you the very first time we have a conversation. Because if you come up to me, I generally give you 3 times to say something derogatory towards me. Then I'm going to let you have it. Because I was built on, okay, I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to have some manners. I'm going to be appropriate for whatever the situation is. But just because I don't like somebody doesn't mean I can't respect them. So, again, this goes back to a lot of things that cause a lot of drama in the stuff that we do. Because in the career I've chosen to do, everybody thinks they know how to do it better than me, but they ain't working on the craft of doing it. Everybody has an opinion about both jobs that I want to do. And even this one people have an opinion about. And I'm fine with that. This one I'm going to tell you I'm not the best at it. I'll tell you I'm not the best teacher. I'll tell you I'm not the best coach. But here's the thing where I'm going to garner respect. Is you're going to see me work at it to get better. If I make a mistake and I mess up, I'm not going to do the same thing over and over again as best I can. I'm not going to sit here and go, well, it's not that good. No, dude, I'm going to do my job that I'm supposed to be doing. And this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to work till I get it. And I'm going to put myself in a spot that, hey, I can be respected the best I can be. I think this year I'm a better overall coach in that now I learned how to handle some of the adults. Because I went from basically like being the new guy in coaching and learning to having to be the guy that knew more about football than the guys I was working with, but I was kind of put with that group because I knew stuff and I was willing to work at it. And I show it and I show respect and I show everything that I do with respect. And I try not to be disrespectful like to my players. I may joke around with them, but I'm not trying to really be disrespectful to them. I may give them a hard time to try to get more out of them or to get my point across, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them. And I may pull them aside so it doesn't come off as disrespectful. But for the most part, the athletes I have, no. The kids that I have come through my room on a regular basis, know what they're kind of allowed to get away with and what they're not allowed to get away with. Because I'm consistent on some things. That be that being said, respect doesn't always come through toughness. And I said we're going to talk about tough. And here's why. Here's why I'm bringing up the word tough. Because on last week's podcast, I don't know what I said that brought this up. The one comment I got on Spotify was, Unc is not tough. Here's my problem. What type of tough are we talking? I'm not street tough. I'm not fighting tough. I ain't never been in a physical fight. I played football. You don't know how many bodily injuries I got. You don't know jack shit about me. But I'm going to guarantee you something. And I'm pretty sure because I heard from friends who are of my generation who looked at me when we were in high school and stuff and looked at me, and this is back late 90s, early 2000s. I graduated high school in '01. So it's probably 99, 2000, 2000, 2001. One of my buddies came over and picked me up, and we were going somewhere. And we got in his little Chevy Stepside he had, single cab, with the guy who was a year younger, a grade level younger than us. And we're all linemen, 2 defensive linemen, I'm offensive lineman. But they came to my house. And by this time, my mom's legally blind. I don't think I started working yet. But my mom's legally blind. My mom's trying to figure that out at the time. We had nurses coming in the house because my brother had a rare birth defect. We had nurses there 12 of the 24 hours. And I didn't drink or smoke till after high school. I smoke a cigar every great once in a while. And I drink maybe once or twice a year right now. But nothing to go hiding from my demons. Nothing to do that. Because I can get rid of them in a multitude of ways. But my friends, when we get in the truck, ask, like, how you not drinking? How you not smoke? Like, I've never smoked weed. And here's the thing. If you drink and you smoke weed, I ain't looking down on you. I have my reasons. I have medical reasons I didn't drink. And because it was bashing my head, because I made a choice. I'd rather have the freedom to drive and do that stuff rather than the what's it called? Rather than risk it. The risk wasn't worth the reward. And I make a lot of life decisions based on that risk and that reward that some people don't get. My brother had a birth defect that should have killed him between the age of 2 and 3, and he lasted till 23. I'm going to tell you that I got plenty of things that I got to do for that. So when tough is one that I guarantee you mentally, I'm tougher than a lot of people. I'm damn sure tougher than a lot of little kids who, yeah, I know you might be struggling. I know you might be in the ghetto, but your mentality is what's weak. Because if you have the woe is me mentality, but you ain't willing to get up and fight for it, then we shouldn't be having this conversation. I don't even know who it was that said it. I don't even remember what the tag was on the comment. But toughness, whether physical, whether mental, whether emotional, is gained through trials and tribulations and gained through going through some shit that people may not know about. And you ain't bragging and bitching about it. We got a whole bunch of people, whether they're on social media, on the news, in sports, in all this other stuff. And while I will admit my mental health and social and emotional wellness may not be the best in the world, they're fine for me in what I do. And I'll deal. Like I think people work with me and think I drink a lot more than I do. And I'll tell you, I said it Friday. I had a rough day Friday at work. It's like, man, I'm gonna go home, drink a cup of whiskey, and have a cigar. And I went and bought the Black and Mild. It's still sitting in my truck. I don't want to play the game. And you don't need to question whether I'm tough or not. You don't have a damn clue. Because I think that's disrespectful because you don't know the journey I've been on. And I'm probably not going to share all of it because that's my journey. But you want to question someone's toughness? Go find out what their journey is. We got a bunch of people who've been bubble wrapped and protected that shouldn't be talking shit to the older generation that didn't get that same bubble wrapping. Man, you want to talk about frustrating things? I don't like let everybody feel good about themselves. No, fucking earn it. If you ain't good, you should know you ain't good. I'm gonna get a 16th place trophy. Fuck that shit. Top 3. Like I bowled in youth leagues, and we get all these trophies and all this. And I don't want the trophy if we didn't win it. I don't want a runner-up trophy. I want like toughness, and toughness isn't false bravado. Just because you talk like you can fight, can you actually fight? If I step to you, you gonna do something, or you just gonna back down and go, "Oh, never mind." Now, there's some things that I won't tolerate. Like for some reason, every year, and I'm gonna say this: I'm 6'2" and over 350 pounds. I'm an old offensive lineman. If you know anything about body physique, I don't look that big. Very few people guess my actual weight. And I'm not going to be offended by it. I don't move very quick. COVID fucked with my lungs a little bit, so I suck a lot of wind right now. Found out I'm allergic to a whole bunch of shit, so that didn't help. But I'm not going to sit here and you can ask me whether or not I'm tough or not. Great. Toughness, whether you believe it or not, my definition might be a lot different than yours. Can you handle the chaos? Can you handle the pressure? Can you be the one under a spotlight and that stuff happens around you? So those are the two words. Now, speaking of tough and respect, now we're going to go into people's job about special education. First, we're going to start off with parents. And some of this is going to be hard for some parents. And I may have some parents that hear me if they listen to this ever and think that I am talking directly to them. This is going to be, and I hope you do, but it's going to be a general statement. If you are the parent of a special education child, and here's what I want to clear up. In Texas, I'm basing this on Texas, I'm basing this on the districts I worked in, and I'm basing this on what I think has been, maybe we're able to hold it a little bit more discreet back when I was a kid, or we didn't just put as much pressure on it than we do now. So here's what I want you to think about. How do I put this? I think parents need to come. And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you 98% of parents fit in this category. It's the 2 to 5% that make our job a lot harder than it has to be as a special education teacher. First, the parent is come to the grip that people say in an education setting, because special education is for an educational setting. Your child can have a real world thing, but if it doesn't affect them in education, we don't see the need for it. Like if they don't need what's classified under specially designed instruction, you don't get special ed. If you need special settings, you can get like a 504 plan, which is like, it's like the test version of special education in a lot of ways. But your job is to realize that we may have a different viewpoint of what your child actual needs are, because we're basing it in the education setting. And it's not like, I want to say that there aren't a whole bunch of needs, but my job is also to teach your kid how to get the skills so they don't need that. That's our eventual goal. And sometimes they may develop it in the high school student and they don't need it anymore. It just may come along and you see an improvement and you're like, oh, well, they don't need it. There is a certain thing where we as adults want to have that conversation. But the parent has to admit that maybe what we're saying about your children, and it's not a knock at you as parents a lot of times. But the things we need from parents in special education is be involved. Be appropriately involved. There are some people that use special education sometimes as a crutch or a shield for their child, and don't, and I would say clog their child's growth a little bit. They delay it because they want to be so protective. And this is parents in general. But with special education, because you're not dealing with the they're dealing we're dealing with kids that just need a little bit more. But help us as educators. Your job is to help us and your student and us all to kind of get this and go, oh, that works well. Um, Next thing, um, so students who are in special education, and let me say this goes from a wide range. Understand in Texas, anyone who gets specially designed instruction is considered under special education. So that goes from, and they're tested within the school system, that goes from the lowest functioning kids who may not cognitively be there with their peers and may have some medical needs, all the way up to the gifted and talented students. That's a special education program. Um, so it's a wide range when we talk special education. Realize our job is to get you to where you can be a productive member of society and you can also be um, able to do something without the help. Sometimes special education students get a learned helplessness. And there are a lot of students like that now that they've learned helplessness. They're too apathetic. But you'll see that spike a little bit more in the special education kids. Um, Also, for kids, especially the ones who are cognitively able to understand this, keep trying. Like, honestly, keep trying. Keep trying to be better so you can get out of special education. Because especially in middle school, a bunch of assholes. Anyway, but I'm talking about the kids. The kids, a bunch of assholes. Um, but middle school kids aren't haven't gained the process to understand what everything within special education is. Because I tell kids all the time, my job is to get you out of here. My job is to cause myself not to have more of a job to do. Um, so, special education kids, you might have to work harder. You might have to do more. You might have to, you're going to struggle a little bit more. Don't let it beat you down. Find that person that can be your rock and who is willing to help you to get better. Don't let the fact that you get help or anything define you, because that's fine. Um, Teachers and coaches of special education students, follow their IEP as best you can. And if you see something that doesn't mesh well with their IEP, so if you don't know the whole process, your child gets put into special education, they have to be tested. And they're all like norm reference tests. And they go through, in the initial test, they test every area we give special education for. Physical, health wise, mental health wise, any educational disabilities and stuff like that. All of that is tested on their initial art. Then every year we go back and we have an annual art, which it's redundant that I say that, but they have an annual meeting. And then every 3 years you're reevaluated. And then if we see that we need testing, we go back to testing. But understand, parents, generally speaking, all this is generally positively speaking. Your son, the people working with your son or daughter are looking at their best interests. Because a lot of times we do a lot of cookie cutter stuff, but it's because we got so many kids with the same thing. But the kids got to learn to use the stuff that the teachers give them. And teachers, you got to work with them. You need to work with them. You need to make sure you're teaching them. This is hard sometimes because as a special education teacher, man, I'm trying every which way to find ways to do paperwork that I need to catch up on. I'm trying to find every which way I need to do this or that. And it's annoying at times, but that's our job. Um, and so everybody who doesn't understand, with special education, there's an individual education plan, IEP, which we have an annual review or dismissal, which is ARD, is what's short for, ARD meaning. And we have that yearly. Now, there are other caveats where we may have more meetings depending on discipline failures and stuff like that. But you have at least one meeting a year. And sorry. And special education teacher, make sure you're making that plan to where it fits that child's needs. And let that child help you what they know they need. Um, like, we need to give the kids some accountability on it. And in middle schools now, or at least at where I'm working, we encourage them to come by the meeting and say, hey, this is what we need, this is where we need to talk, this is what we need to talk about. And that's where we go from there. And a lot of times, it's like, we just need y'all to understand that that is really oh, so, and then admin and district people and people above admin. Don't make this so hard. And I'm going to speak to district level right now. Just because we get sued for something sometimes doesn't mean everybody needs to change because one parent out of the thousands of parents that we have sued us because somebody did something wrong. Train us to do it. Remember, a lot of us don't have law school degrees, but we're writing legal documentation all the goddamn time. Um, and make sure that at least we have the information to do it. Um, we don't get to teach a lot of this. There's a special education degree, but if you're just in general education, you'll hear about special pops in one or two classes in college. But that doesn't give you the idea of what you're actually dealing with, all the paperwork. Like, there's a lot of stuff we leave out because it can be really freaky and really scary when you see all the stuff that we do as educators. Um, so, yeah, I think district level principals make this smoother knowing that we are trying our best to do what's best for that student. Am I going to say everybody's mentality? No, but that's generally the mentality of people that do special education. We're trying to do the best for those students. We want to see them succeed. We want to see them get out of the program. Um, but sometimes we make that really, really hard. And state, hold yourself to the same damn. I must be state of Texas. Hold yourself to the same accountability when you make tests that you expect me as a teacher to be held to, that I can get sued for, but we can't sue you as a state because you don't do the same fucking thing. This is where the STAR test and standardized tests are all fucked up. Especially for special education kids. Because the state says, but the state done it before, but no, we're gonna restrict people more and more and more so we can have it on this one standardized test. Y'all need to stop. Actually, I'll get off on that rant here in this. No, fuck it. Let's go on that rant. The state of Texas, and I'm going to say this is Governor Greg Abbott. This is everyone. You know what? This is a lot of people in politics that got their head up their ass, who got money and can afford to send their kids to private school. Y'all, stop fucking with public education. Because you got people that love doing the job, are willing to take change, but you're not willing to fund the shit that you want. You got politicians that come up with great fucking ideas, but unlike businessmen, which half of them are, guess what? You don't fucking set it up right. Because if this was a business plan, you wouldn't fucking do it. If this was an actual business where you made money, you wouldn't fucking treat it like that. Instead, y'all treat education like it's fucking babysitting for poor people and people who can't afford to send their kids off to a private school, or who don't just want to go have to drive their kids over to a fucking charter school. You've made every way possible throughout my whole life to fuck with public education. In every way, and then you don't hold everybody to the same fucking standard. Because y'all know y'all's test and the STAR test is a load of horse shit. Because I guarantee you, if we went, sat, and gave you the time to do those tests, most of y'all would struggle to do it. In the same conditions that you make the kids do them fucking tests. And finding someone on a test, what they can do, where you stress them out so much that, yes, we lessen the stress on it somewhat, but y'all got your head so far up your ass because somebody has lined your fucking pockets with this. That's the only reason. It took Greg Abbott, what, 8 years to get his damn, let's give this $10,000 over to, let's get this voucher program. If you was right, great. But I think it's a scam in some way. Stop fucking with public education. 80% of your students go to a public school. Y'all have demonized public education like we ain't trying our best. We don't get to choose the students. Everyone has free access to public education. And if they choose to go somewhere else, and stop using the term school choice. Everybody's always had a goddamn school choice. But it's a great political slogan. Instead of doing something to actually make it better, you make it harder every fucking chance you get. I'm going to say this is the Republicans of Texas. This is y'all's game plan for whatever reason. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to say it's racist. I'm not going to say anything like that. But y'all keep fucking with it. and then put in the minimal effort to try and make it better and make everybody seem like it's great. Y'all, the TEA, the the state school board of education. Oh yeah, y'all aren't looking out for what's in the best interest of students. You're looking out for whatever's in the best interest of some sensitive ass, loudmouth people who only give a fuck about their one or two students. Banning books in school, we should have the ability to. Now if that parent wants to have a conversation with that teacher, and then they can have that's part of life. But I learned about trials and tribulations through reading. I learned about racism through reading To Kill a Mockingbird. I learned about a lot of stuff in a lot of different readings that we did. Learned about Big Brother government and reading 1984. Learned about a justice system in the North through reading. I've read it a couple times. God damn. I can't remember right now. Learned about the social economic culture and the outsiders and reading that. Learned about stories that related to each other in refugee. Stories I knew nothing about, but that's a good book. Get to introduce mythology through Percy Jackson. And just because some books may talk about homosexuality, racism, or a topic that makes somebody uncomfortable because they don't want to have the conversation and be a fucking adult and have the conversation with their kid about what their viewpoint is and understand other people got viewpoints. This also goes back to respect. And here's the thing, I'm not going to go off on the title of profession. I'm a professional teacher. I get paid to go teach. That's the basic definition of profession. What they say is a professional degree, I don't give a shit. I was a professional at customer service for 12 and a half years at Walmart because I got paid to do it. If I'm getting money put in my pocket to do a job, I'm a professional at that job. The most basic definition of professional. So if you are a professional servant of the people, which is what a politician is, or not a politician, which is what a congressman is, which is what a senator is, which is what the governor is, which is what the mayor is, which is what the president is, and everybody who's been elected by the people, then in one of the highest professions, I don't want to say high, one of the most mass professions in the country, because there's still going to be kids growing. There's still going to be kids coming to school. There's still going to be, you're never going to lose teachers. And the fact that you disrespect teaching so much because it was a woman's job for the longest time, but they always need male teachers, male coaches, and all this. And y'all said back in the 80s, because this is a state of Texas thing, I don't think it's with every other state, that in order to be a coach in a public institution, you had to be a certified teacher. So that means me go and get my kinesiology degree, which because somebody in the state in the 80s said, well, we can't have a physical education degree. It has to sound fancier. So when I say I have a degree in kinesiology, people look at me like, what the fuck is that? Oh, I want to be a gym teacher. I can have a creative writing degree, be an author and all that shit. I can have a journalism degree. I can have a mass communications degree. I can have an English lit degree. I can have whatever fucking degree I want. But we're going to disrespect the jobs I chose to do and tell me all this other shit. People at the state, I hope somebody hears this. I know right now I got 30 whole followers. They may not hear this. I'm fine with that. If you eventually hear this, y'all, stop fucking with the people that are going to help build this society. My job has never been to kiss ass, and as you see, I'm not going to fucking do it. But this is why politicians kiss everyone's ass, because your job relies on people like me to vote for your dumb ass. And do I know that the likelihood that Greg Abbott may still be governor of this state? Yes, I don't care. Y'all, stop fucking with public education, making it hard for us to do our job. If you want us to educate our kids, let us educate our kids and stop testing the shit out of them with unrealistic tests that aren't at their level, that aren't at what people put pressure on parents to do, and y'all make it like, well, it's just educators. Y'all, listen to this very carefully. Very carefully. Like anything in life, it takes a community to do it. Education does not start on school grounds. Education of a child starts from the time that they start getting parented by their parents. And how they view education starts long before they become pre-K or kindergarten on how they're going to view education. How important they're going to put is on the fucking parents. And I'm speaking as a parent to two kids who are about to graduate high school. And one wants to go to college and one is iffy. And I saw something that would I tell my kid to go into a trade? Yes. Because I'm not going to hold my head so high and have my head so far in my ass that I don't understand what needs to be done in this country. If you want this country where you got to respect every position, from the people who take the menial jobs that a lot of people don't want to do, including me. I don't want to go clean toilets. I don't want to be a janitor. That's not my thing. I want to lead the next generation from the ground level. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a coach. And if I ever get up to the pros, great. It's not what I'm striving to do. I like dealing with kids. And don't take that out of context. But I like molding kids' mind to do what they can do and be the best they can be within the time I'm allotted to do it. And I have no problem teaching them that you have to stand up every once in a while and say something. So, again, and this goes to the state of Texas and the federal government, stop fucking with education. Let us teach the kids and give us by every means to teach the kids. No, I've said it before on this podcast and the 30 other episodes, somewhere along the way, that No Child Left Behind was one of the worst things that ever happened to the education system on a federal level. It may have improved some things, but overall it's a crock of shit. Because you wanted to measure what the quality of education is by a quantity metric. The quality of education is going to show up and has been showing up poor and poor in the attitudes of kids. And it doesn't start with the education system, but we're going to take the brunt of the blame for it. It starts with parents. It starts with the parents who become entitled and think that whatever the hell their baby needs is what's supposed to happen. And we're all supposed to bubble wrap them. Yes, I'm someone who was raised like a Gen Xer. I don't believe in bubble wrap. Did my kids have to go through the same thing? No, but they weren't born into the same circumstances I was. They didn't have to go through that shit, and that's fine. But both my kids will tell you that I will make them do what they don't want to do sometimes, and that I can be a heartless son of a bitch as far as they're concerned, and I'm fine with that because I'm their parent. I'm not their friend. That's the difference between me and some parents. That's also the difference between me and a lot of people, is I don't have to be anybody's damn friend. So if you like what I got to say, great. If you don't, I'm fine with that too. Again, you are listening to the Jackass Podcast. I am the Jackass. I'm Coach Lindsay. Now let's go off to some more fun stuff to talk about, because that was a longer rant than I thought it was going to be. You know what? I'm gonna go over a couple sports things. So the draft combine started this week. Some of the stuff I have seen and highlights, I haven't got to look or listen to it, but some of the numbers I've seen on like the fast days have been amazing. That's always kind of gonna be fun. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll be listening to more of the draft podcasts that I like listening to, especially whenever the draft is in April or May. I will have listened to as much of it as I can. I think it's going to be interesting. I was hearing a conversation about defensive ends. I was not as good of a class the other day. I think the athlete has just changed, and we've worked so much on speed and stuff, and they don't do cross athletics as much anymore, except in school, in like middle and high school. And if you are a young athlete and you happen to come across this podcast, until you get to where you're at the level where you're going to get a scholarship in a particular thing, then you go focus on that. That's fine. But let me be clear when I say this, and I probably said it and I'm going to keep saying it, for youth athletics. Dude, y'all, play as many sports as you can. Because every sport's going to help you in a way that you don't understand. Play as many sports as you can in middle school. When I was at my last school, we had a kid, I think he won doubles. I think he won district doubles in tennis, but he was also our best basketball player. I think he played football that year. And go across as many sports as you can. Do as much as you can while you're in middle school and high school, because those are times where you get to do it with peers and friends that you may make relationships for the rest of your life with, and also they're going to be great memories for when you leave school. Because here's the other thing that I think people forget about school. If you go into school because of a certain class, that's a good thing. That means you've made a connection with that subject or that thing. But you still got to do all the rest of that stuff. Like, you got to put the grind of life, and your toughness in life comes from doing the stuff that you don't want to do sometimes and grinding that stuff out. So, and that's going to be my whole thing today. The draft stuff's interesting. We'll talk free agency once free agency hits in the NFL and see where people move. And then probably, like, when all the dust kind of starts settling, I'll start really kind of looking through rosters and say, like, after you kind of start seeing stuff and hearing stuff about what I think rosters will look like for fantasy football. Basketball, Man, I don't remember when I did the last podcast. But this week, I got to see some old school type basketball. Maybe not fully old school, but old school type basketball. When the Spurs played the Pistons, when the Spurs played the Raptors, and a little bit, the Nets just didn't have the talent to back up what they were trying to do. People are coming physical at Victor Wembanyama and making it hard on him, and now he's gonna have to figure out how to take that next step. But the Spurs as a team are playing physical basketball too and making it hard. Watching that Detroit game and that Toronto game, that was just fun to watch. Um, it wasn't one old school championship, early championship Spurs, where it was an 80 something, 70 something game. There's still over 100 points scored, so the defense not the same, but the rules don't let it be the same. But just the effort. Young teams going at it and having that defensive effort is so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. That's the type of basketball. I don't want I want passing. I want kids want to see the 3-point shot, and I'm like the shot Victor Wembanyama had late in the which game was it? It had to be the Raptors game because he didn't have a good first half. The shot where he got the ball in the corner and hit a three, I think, yeah, because they were down. Or no, they were up and they kind of start putting the game away. That was a killer shot. I loved it. The little one from behind the backboard for De'Aaron Fox later on, that was like those clutch moments. And hearing people talk about the Spurs in positive light, like I think they're getting a little too hyped. Do I worry about the Spurs and later on in the playoffs? Yes, but here's here's what I really worry about. I just worry about when they start looking at it more in depth in the 7-game series, and to see how Mitch Johnson's going to react. Even though they do kind of have Papa as a consultant, and they have that brain trust there, those in-game decisions, how are you going to come up with them? Like, that's going to be fun to watch when they get in the playoffs. Talent-wise and effort-wise, I think they have a shot at a championship. Is it going to be an easy road? No. Because I keep hearing everybody talk about Denver and OKC, which is really relevant. But I'm going to say you have to add in Minnesota. Because Minnesota gives the Spurs trouble. But I think it's those 4 teams in the West. Something about the Rockets, like when I watch the Rockets versus Spurs or versus people, they can get up big and then there's something missing in that roster or rotation where they're not finishing off like they do. But man, I love watching basketball this week. I love seeing that physicality. I love the mindset of Victor Wembanyama and everybody on the Spurs following. I love watching Detroit because I hadn't watched the Detroit game. They're a fun team to watch. That physicality, seeing that, man, that was fun to watch. Watching Toronto was kind of cool to watch too. I don't know what their record is, but they don't think it was that bad. But that was fun to watch. Here in a second, when I get done with this podcast, I'm gonna go watch the Spurs playing right now. All right, now, so when playoff time comes, we'll probably get more in depth, especially when it comes to the matchups. Um, I'm gonna say right now, I hope the Spurs get the number one seed. As long as they keep the number two seed, I think they'll be fine. As long as they get a playoff, because I don't think they're afraid of OKC. So that one doesn't. I think they all match up well, and I think they just had the better matchup a couple times. Even at full strength with OKC, they've had some good games, and they lost one, and then they won one big time when they didn't have anybody. Like when OKC sat everybody. That's fine. But I think that'll be a good matchup. I think that'll be a good Western Conference matchup. Um, but like I said, I know they're young, but man, do I love seeing it. It's so fun to watch. It's fun to watch all the guard play. It's fun to, and they pass the ball smoothly, and I love it. So that's a good thing. All right, so let's talk about the Elimination Chamber. Um, you know what? I like the way the Elimination Chamber ran. I like I like the fact that Rhea Ripley won. I think that's going to be a good matchup with Jay Cargill and Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley's actually going to be the underdog in that match physically, um, but I think she wins. I think it's a big moment for her. Or unless they're going to really push Jay Cargill, but I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. Um, AJ Lee winning doesn't surprise me. It's kind of one of those wins of what's it called? It's kind of one of those wins of nostalgia in a way. But I think her taking out Becky, and I just wonder how this storyline's gonna go, because that could be a Mania match. And I wonder if you do a gimmick Mania match for those two now. But that'll be a cool one to watch. Um, I've actually loved the Natty and Maxine stuff. Uh, that was fun. That's been fun to watch. I th- let's see. I'm not surprised. I love seeing CM Punk in a good match um, with um, Finn Balor. That's just what you need. Especially, you do need a title match at the Chamber, and I think because they were fighting to get Drew's title, and they had to put some doubt that the Mania match. Even though I don't think anybody really thought CM Punk was going to lose in Chicago, because I don't think he's traditionally ever lost in Chicago, which is one of the few, which is a rarity in WWE. But good match, good solid match. AJ Lee winning, not surprised. I liked, I'm gonna call it the Dusty type finish. All the chaos of that fucking ending of the Hell in the Cell match was awesome. Not I've actually liked the two decoys in the whole thing to set up for again Seth Rollins being the guy in the mask and messing Logan Paul out of his match. Um, and to put him versus the Vision, that's just gonna bump up the Vision. There's gonna be some sort of match with that at WrestleMania, and I think just the storyline of it has been so good, but also the Drew Cody storyline. I think I'm gonna say this, and I think it's because I kind of want to see it. Because like I'm not the hugest TNA fan. I'm not the hugest AEW fan, or even NWA Power fan. But I know Nick Aldis as a wrestler. Like when he showed up as the GM, I was kind of disappointed. But I think this brings him into a wrestling picture, and I think because him and I think probably in real life, him and Drew are really good friends. I think that not a Mania. I don't think he interjects himself there. I think at one of the subsequent, like one of the other PLEs, there's a Nick Aldis Drew McIntyre match. And I think that would be a hell of a match to watch. Um, because I think Nick will say, I'll set aside and I'll come out of retirement for this match with Drew McIntyre. I just think that would be cool to watch. Um, with the Cody Rhodes stuff, I have loved this storyline of him just being such a little shit that, like he hasn't been like Drew hadn't been a chicken shit heel. He's just been I'm gonna fuck you out of everything heel. It's almost like it's almost like an old NWA type angle. It's not one that WWE played with a lot, but this is more like a horseman type angle, a Ric Flair type angle, just the villain fucking with the baby faces, making sure that he doesn't have to mess with them. And I've loved it. Um, where he's just targeting who his two biggest challenges are. And I love the emotion coming out of it. It's so fun to watch. Oh, it's been fun. Um, Anything else from that? You know what I did love? I want to say this. I love the turn of Zarya on the Sol Ruka on NXT this week. I love how that was done. That was so fun to watch. Um, because it's kind of been teased and it's been teased and it's been teased, and it was the perfect moment. That was beautiful. Oh, that was so nice. Seeing the young guys get over on Dark State, that was really cool to watch. I want to see where they're going with this little second generation faction on NXT. By the way, Lexus King, Ariana Grande, and the one I don't know that well. I don't know who his parent is, but them being next generation stars, I think that's a cool angle. You have it's an angle that for a long time you couldn't do as much, but now a lot of people have a lineage in wrestling. Um, but I think they need to add someone with a little bit more juice than Lexus King if they have somebody. Watching the stuff for the AJ Tire Styles and him getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, which I think is well deserved. Any wrestling Hall of Fame for AJ Styles is well deserved. And I do like the stuff with the Undertaker, like being like the guy who does the knocking on the door for the NFL. Um, those surprise. I love watching those videos, but I love just seeing that with him, Stephanie, and then I think they've shown a few others that he did it on in the ring. I liked it. I liked his I liked his reference to used to say, "If you see me coming, you're gone." And now it goes, "If you see me coming, you're going." That was a good line. Uh, like this Elimination Chamber was fun. This weekend wrestling been fun, and I know this is that time of year where it ramps up, and it's gonna be so fun to watch. Um, This is gonna be so much fun to watch over the next few months, or over the next month and a half. Um, but I'm looking forward to it. I am. Hey, if you guys stayed this long, thank you very much. Again, catch us on Spotify, on Amazon Music, and on YouTube. Um, thank y'all very much for listening. This is Coach Lindsay. I'm also on TikTok as Evan Lindsay 50, um, and that's about all I know. Uh, come find me. Come find the Jackass Podcast. Is also on Facebook as a page. Leave likes, comments, whatever, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace.